Royce, we're live. Did you ever think back when you were on the farm, you'd be going live to talk about the bulk truth?
Never. Not at all.
When you were on the farm, you told me you like to build and you like to automate. Why?
It's my norm. It's my normal. I like growing things. I like building things. I loved getting in the shop and taking things apart and figuring out how to put things together. And just was the normal way of doing things.
You know, it's cool because a lot of inventions come from piddling around in a garage or a shop, right? And what's happening is this person's inventing something that solves a big problem for folks that never knew they had an option, and that's what CADARO does as far as measuring dry materials that flow through a plant. When you first ran into the concept of CADARO, was that what enticed you?
Yeah. So the first time I had a chance to learn more about CADARO or CADARO's flow sensors, the first thing that was going through my mind is if you can accurately measure what they were describing as far as a flow process, the opportunity was really in enabling the automation. So it starts with the measurement, which we came to learn that most people were estimating anyways. But if there was an accurate measurement, then what would that mean for industries and processes as far as utilizing that to automate, number one, the process, and now with machine learning and AI, how this is just going to continue to create more opportunities for automation and efficiency.
So today's topic, we're talking about soybeans, but I learned something backstage before the show that CADARO was originally invented specifically to measure soybean seeds.
That's correct. Yeah. So the original inventors of the technology in Iowa State, Monsanto at that time, brought a problem or a challenge. They were needing to measure soybean seed in their processing plants without impacting the quality of the germ of the seed. So that was the problem that they were seeking a solution. So two gentlemen went and built and discovered and patented this technology. And what they were able to do is, based on pressure on a load cell, as materials passing through a pipe or a chute, they found a way to accurately measure, and the benefit was no impact to the soybean seeds.
So the process is not violent. In other words, it doesn't damage.
No. So they like to refer to it as a wave. And so there's an initial strike, if you will, on a hemisphere or dome. But after that initial strike, it's product on product. So it's just soybean seed contacting soybean seed, no different than it would be going through any pipe or chute. And so that's where the safety feature comes in.
So there was a gap, you call it a static yield gap?
Correct. Yeah. So if you think about how things are done back then, and in many industries how it's done today, is so they'll estimate. So they may go through and run a certain amount of material and find out where the plant's operating and continue to run at that rate for the rest of the day, or whatever that, or the batch, whatever that time period may be. And so that's the static yield gap. And so what we're doing is we're offering a dynamic measurement. It's real time. So each seed or each piece of material, as it's passing through the pipe or chute, we're measuring it, digitally displaying that. And from that, people are seeing in real time anything that they might have done. And so if they made an adjustment in a piece of equipment, they're going to instantly see that impact and know if it went in the direction they intended, or how to refine that further.
So generally these measures taken once a day or once a shift or once a batch.
Yeah, it varies based off plant and what materials they're processing. I've been at some seed plants where they've integrated our flow sensors, and previous to this, they'd run a batch of seed, and then when they get to the end, they would look at what the results were. They may make adjustments in equipment. They run the next batch, right? So they were always being reactive as far as seeing the result or impact of what they did. And so prior to some of the plants integrating for full automation, the next phase would be, okay, they have the flow sensor in, they're watching it on our screen, And so they make an adjustment out in the plant. Somebody comes back into the office, they look at what the impact was. So they're just going back and forth. But what they like to see was how they were operating. And in some cases, they were using it something like almost like a speedometer, right? Just trying to dial it in that they want to be running 450 pounds a minute. And so they make adjustments where they're operating at that precise rate.
So you can make adjustments on the fly while it's still moving and see, because some of these guys are adding materials, they're mixing it, they're doing different things, and so it'd be kind of nice to do that as it's happening instead of turn on and off, on and off.
Sure. Yeah. And so some cases they want to normalize the flow to where it doesn't turn on and off. So if they have one of these on the front end of their plant, they're bringing material in or transferring material in. So it gives them that first measurement. What is the rate that we're transferring in? And then they start going through cleaners, separators, color sorters. And as they go through these different steps of that process, then they can see what the impacts are and what their yields are and make finer adjustments.
So back to when you learned about the CADARO solution, this device that can measure any dry bulk material as it flows through. You've been involved with CADARO for a while. What improvements, and I'm leaning probably to automation, but what other improvements have you guys made that you didn't expect immediately?
So I think when we first started, we had applications for vertical or incline applications. So something, and they what we consider to be very compact units. But as we went into these plants and what we learned, and we had customers that were interested in implementing the technology, but they have older plants or the plants were built without this consideration. So finding the space was one of the big challenges that we ran into early on. And then we've actually had customers coming back to us. So once we launched the Veracity Diamond series, which are very low profile in seed applications where your flow rates are, could be anywhere 400 to 2,000 pounds a minute. And so those sensors now can fit into roughly 8-inch clearances. And so that was a game changer as far as advancing the technology in those plants and at least creating an opportunity without a lot of structural changes or CapEx requirements that they could cut and flange in one of these sensors and create that visibility for themselves.
You shared an infographic with me before the show. I'm pulling it up now for those who are listening. But in particular, what aspect of this infographic did you want to focus on?
I mean, looking at the traditional ways. So that static yield gap is traditionally they're going to use stopwatches, but they're using some way of estimating what their flows are. Without actually seeing the results. They may be measuring at the end of the process, and so they're getting those numbers and then trying to make adjustments for the next batch or the next day. And so moving from that static to the dynamic real-time measurements is what we're enabling, and that's for me the main focus. Is you get you capture that visibility, you see it on a screen. Now you're enabling your people. We came up with the slogan, "You can't manage what you don't measure." And so that's the basis of this. And then the follow-up slogan is, we measure, you manage. So as you're enabling your teams and your plants with real-time data, now there's accountability to the numbers and there's pride in the performance, and they're able to make those adjustments and improve the plant efficiency and profitability.
Clip that. So now static yield cap, when I look at this, is basically your invisible losses.
Correct. And we've seen that referred to also as as was it the invisible tax, right? So it happens every day. So if you're not measuring and you're not doing it dynamically, there's losses. I mean, there's a loss as far as profit. There's a loss of efficiency. Worker satisfaction. I mean, you think about somebody works all day long, but when they get done, I mean, they know they had a big day, but how did I get here and what did I do to help improve the results as far as what we're trying to accomplish?
So when we think about the seats in the organization that get to benefit from the various upsides of the CADARO product, Walk me through the three close seats to this. What is their experience, and what are they feeling after this gets installed?
So what's normal is it's going to be maintenance operations, or they're generally the people that are going to reach out that they see a need or they're looking for a solution to measure to help them do better or perform better at the plant. And so that would be the first seats that I always think about, because they're the ones that they'll call us up, or they've been looking on Google trying to find a way to measure. And so that's where the conversation starts. The next level up is once they've identified, okay, here's the problem, here's potential solutions, then they go and share this information with the next level up. So plant managers, maybe their automation team or integrations team. And so they're looking at, how would this fit when work for us, and what would be the value or benefit? And then lastly is at the C-suite. I mean, whether it's be the CEO, CFO, is how this is helping them improve their bottom line, improve the product quality, consistency. The things that resonate for them is how is it helping us achieve our longer term goals and deliverables.
Awesome. So, when I think about these, so soybean, back to the origination on this, and since we've been working together, there's all these other materials that people are wanting to set up your measurement process on the various stuff. But soybeans are a big, giant crop. Do you have these predominantly right now in plants that handle the soybeans, the corn and soybean seeds?
We do. They've probably been out in commercial use the longest. The origination of the company was 2011. I know of centers that have been out there since 2015 across the Midwest in seed processing. They started out in process lines, measuring material coming in or through the process. Most recently, I think last year, we started installing and integrating these into loadouts, where they were doing true bulk to load out. And in some cases, they wanted to know it, they knew what their seed count per pound is. So they actually translated our weights as far as pounds into quantity of seed. And so trying to be that precise as far as how many seeds did they put on the truck. So that's where it started. Then in corn seed, and now we're moving into additional, pretty much any type of grain seed. We've got inquiries and others. The fact that it was dry and it would flow. So we moved early on, probably about 18 months ago. Then we started exploring other materials. So looking at not only granules, pellets, but even processed grains, if you will. So flour, things of that nature.
All right. Automating, improving efficiency, so many things that this process and improving people's position, I guess, or their job performance or satisfaction of doing the job that they desire. So Royce, let's say I'm in the soybean industry, I'm in the corn industry, I haven't heard about you guys. What do I do? How do I talk to you? How do I get a test drive, or what's the next process?
Yeah, so an email to info@cadaro.com is a good way to get things started. We can set up and do a site review. So even if you go to our website, there's a way to sign up for do a calendar invite for a site review. And then lastly, just call us directly, and we can have a discussion as far as what you're trying to accomplish and what the options might be for CADARO to help you with that.
Yeah, let's get this conversation going, get this on the budget for next year, because this is an opportunity to improve your system, your profits, your workflow. So many things. All these businesses improving their automation, and you should be too. That's why CADARO's here. You can't manage what you don't measure. All right, Royce, another episode of The Bulk Truth. Good job.
Thank you.
That's a wrap.